Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Gouet. Welcome to the 2024 Investiture Ceremony for the Order of Prince Edward Island. We are pleased to have the following distinguished guests with us today. Your Honor, the Honourable Antoinette Perry, Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island and Chancellor of the Order. The Honourable Dennis King, Premier of Prince Edward Island, and of course, this year's inductees and special guests. My name is BJ Willis. I'm the chair of the Advisory Committee for the Order of Prince Edward Island, and I am pleased to be your Master of Ceremonies today as we celebrate the achievements of 3 remarkable islanders who have enriched our understanding of island culture, island history, and island community. Along with the special guests celebrating with us are our current Advisory Council members, Jamie Aiken of Executive Council, Cameron MacDonald, Heather McLaren, Myron Yates. Also in attendance, Dr. Greg Keefe, former Interim President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Prince Edward Island. Thank you, Dr. Keefe, for your work on the Council for the past 2.5 years. And I'm also happy to welcome the former Secretary to the Advisory Council, Joanne Holden, to today's ceremony. Joanne, your tireless work behind the scenes, supporting the work of the Council for many years was invaluable. Again, thank you. Council members unable to join us this morning are the Honourable James Gormley, Chief Justice of Prince Edward Island, Dr. Wendy Rogers, President and Vice Chancellor, University of Prince Edward Island, Gloria Skierman, and Deanne Bernier-Willette. I do pass their congratulations on to this year's recipients. We acknowledge the land upon which we gather is the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Epigwit is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq who have occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. I invite you to please stand, if you are able, for an invocation and prayer for the Prince Edward Island Order of Merit. God, Great Spirit, Creator of the universe, we ask your blessing upon King Charles, our sovereign. We ask your blessing too upon the Chancellor and the members of the Order of Prince Edward Island. We acknowledge with gratitude their standards of excellence, the gifts of their time and talents, and their devotion to the common good. Grant to all of us the desire and will to follow their example of generosity and service to others. We give thanks for the members of the Order who have departed this life and are now at rest. May we fulfill our responsibilities as grateful and loyal citizens who are mindful of the well-being of all your people. Amen. Please remain standing as Elder Judith Clark of the Epigwit First Nation comes forward to share a Mi'kmaq prayer.
Kwe, Jilly Dachwilla de Epigwit, Nina Dalvisi Sudik, Akaktigo Sissy Baby, Awa Begi per David. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be here. It's a great honor. I acknowledge that that we are gathered here today to thank Creator for bringing us together. We acknowledge the teachings of our grandfathers and our grandmothers. We have great respect for all living things. Our connection to the winged, the finned, the two-legged, and the four-legged animals. Our outstanding connection to Mother Earth, the land, the water, and the air, and all who surrounds and knowing of our identity. Blessings to all who are suffering, mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Bless our communities, our families, and members who are sick, and their loved ones who continue to care for them. Continually support our families and caregivers who take care of all us who are our families. Creator, thank you for this day you've given us. Thank you for allowing us to gather here today, and we ask you to enter where you are so that your teachings will work in us. We ask for wisdom so that we will know what is good in this world. We ask for love so that we can spread your love everywhere. We ask for respect so that we all know that everyone comes from one place, from you. We ask for bravery so that we will not be afraid to do your work here. We ask for honesty so that no one will lie or harm any one of us. We ask for humility so that no one will be upset or superior to another. And Creator, we ask for truth so that we will see you in the future on our last day with a clean heart and spirit. Imsid Nogama, Wilaliok. Alani.
Thank you so much, Elder Clark. Please be seated. The Order of Prince Edward Island is the highest honor the province can bestow on a citizen. The Order's Medal of Merit recognizes the recipient's exemplary efforts and accomplishments in enriching the social, economic, and cultural life of the island. Nominations for the Order are made by the individual's peers and fellow islanders, and are a wonderful example of island community championing those who want to improve our lives and our province. I would now like to invite Her Honor, Chancellor of the Order of PEI and Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island, the Honourable Antoinette Perry, to please come forward and present her remarks.
Thank you, BJ. We're wearing different hats than we used to, right? Thank you. Honourable Premier Dennis King, Chair and members of the Advisory Council, recipients, and I wish to acknowledge also the presence of my successor, Dr. Wasim Salamoun, who will be soon installed as the next Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island. And invited guests, recipients, invited guests, and all who are joining us online to witness your special ceremony. Good morning, bonjour, kwe. As His Majesty's representative in Prince Edward Island, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Government House for the investiture ceremony for 3 outstanding islanders to the Order of Prince Edward Island. Bienvenue à la Maison du Gouvernement pour la cérémonie d'investiture de 3 insulaires exceptionnels à l'ordre de l'île du Prince-Édouard. In the spirit of meaningful reconciliation, I too wish to acknowledge our presence on the traditional land of the Mi'kmaq, Prince Edward Island's indigenous peoples, whose culture, traditions, and spirituality I do respect. As Chancellor, I am honored and pleased to confer the Order of Prince Edward Island on Kathryn Dau-Schmidt, Dr. Ed MacDonald, and Reginald Thompson for your significant contributions to the social, cultural, and economic life of our province and its residents. You are exemplary role models who have demonstrated outstanding leadership, citizenship, and excellence in your selfless and caring service to islanders. You, along with all members of the Order of PEI, truly demonstrate the island way of life through your generosity, volunteerism, and sense of community. Il est important de reconnaître nos citoyens remarquables qui, à leur propre manière individuelle et par leur générosité et leur engagement, font des contributions inestimables à l'avancement de toute leur communauté et en effet toute la communauté insulaire. Leur esprit de bénévolat mérite la reconnaissance et l'admiration de tous. On behalf of His Majesty King Charles, I congratulate you, distinguished recipients, as I welcome you into the prestigious Order of Prince Edward Island. You are about to become, officially, part of the recorded history of our province, and as well in your own personal history. So today is a significant day in your own history. I extend my best wishes to your families as well for their loving and caring support. I wish to express my gratitude to the nominators and presenters for your generosity and thoughtfulness in presenting today's recipients. Thank you. Premier King, thank you for joining me once again to celebrate Islanders. We've done a lot of that in the last 7 years. I am grateful for your support and leadership in serving Islanders. And on a personal note, I just wish to thank you for your kindness and generosity to me during 7 years, but it was a special partnership, I must say. And I thank you with my heartfelt appreciation. I really do. I offer my sincere thanks and appreciation also to Chair B.J. Willis, to members of the Advisory Council of the Order of Prince Edward Island, and your Secretary, Laura Morell, for your interest and dedication. So to the recipients, félicitations, congratulations and best wishes. Willalia.
Merci beaucoup, Your Honor. And at this time, I would like to invite the Premier of Prince Edward Island, the Honourable Dennis King, to please come forward and present his remarks.
Well, thank you, BJ, and good morning, bonjour, Quay. It truly is an honor to be here today as we gather to celebrate the remarkable individuals who have dedicated themselves to make this island a better place. I have to say that this is one of my favorite days as Premier, when you get to participate in the Order of PEI ceremony, to be around so many wonderful, distinguished people and their families, and the contributions they made is something that really means the world to me, and it's one of my favorite days. But I am a little bit conflicted here today because I do know that this will be the final ceremony in the Order of PEI that we will participate in together, Your Honor. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging Her Honor. During my time as the Premier, I've had the privilege to attend numerous events here. It's been a pleasure to share so many significant moments, and I cherish the friendship that we have built, and I know that Islanders are forever grateful and will always remember your unwavering service, your grace, and your dedication with a deep gratitude, as I will. When I began, we were strangers, and perhaps there was a time in our island history when someone from the east and someone from the west might not mesh so well. But, you know, I think we have come to recognize that we have so much in common, that we've been through so many difficult times together, we've relied on one another, and I know that I will cherish the friendship that has blossomed here, and will look forward to meeting you outside of this beautiful facility and just chatting about all things, from Eugene's store to Daryl's store in Georgetown and everything in between. So thank you really very much. And you, as always, again today has proven to be a very hard act to follow. So thank you very much for all you've done. As we celebrate the recipients of the Order of Prince Edward Island today, we're reminded of the values that make our island community so unique. And what that really comes down to is our people. Kathryn, for example, your lifetime of commitment to the teaching, the sharing, and the promotion of the fiddle and how important traditional fiddling is to Prince Edward Island. As an islander, I think I can say with authority that you can't tell an island story without a fiddle. You might have heard the country music song, if you're going to play in Texas, you need a fiddle in the band. Or if you're going to tell a story in Prince Edward Island, you need a fiddle. And I was thinking as I was reflecting on this, the significance of the day and the three of you, how you're all together in this, is that, you know, if the story is the fabric of our island soul, then the fiddle is the stitch that binds us together. And it makes this wonderful giant quilt that brings us comfort and pride and warmth in our islandness. So it's just amazing that we have all of you here today. And Reg, of course, Dutch, Thompson, the bygone days. You're one of the voices of my island soundtrack, of my life soundtrack. You know, you've shared with us for many years through the wonder of just simple conversation, the stories of the special people who call PEI home. And I know I'm probably like everybody else when I turn on the radio and I hear stories of Spurgeon Friday Walker from Georgetown and Francis Llewellyn. It brings me back to a time that stories my dad used to tell and my uncles used to tell. And it just connects me to those, to my community that I didn't know, that I've loved and I've treasured. And I'm sure it's the same for every other islander. It's just that it's your connection to the community, your commitment to the people. And I was also thinking that our growth in tourism over the last number of years has been around what they call authentic experience. And that's really just a fancy way for a consultant to charge a whole bunch of money to say people and experience and culture. So I just really want to say that a number of years ago, Mate McIsaac was installed, and he talked about, he was pursuing this word islandness, and all of you encompass that in so many ways. And Dr. Ed, of course, Eddie, Mickey, Jerome, Big Angus from Newport, greater downtown, not the outskirts of Newport, greater downtown Newport. Just a little ferry ride across the Cardigan River from Georgetown. Probably a more consistent ferry ride than we're seeing in many days now. Maybe a lot of waiting and walking too, I don't know. But just, I'm thinking that you were paid to teach history, but you also taught us so much about the now and so much about our future in that. And what I always treasured from your writings and from your teachings and from the connections that our family has shared is that I feel you've taught us about our significance as islanders, and that we take a back seat to nobody. That somebody from Newport or Georgetown royalty or Montrose is just as good or better than someone from Toronto, Vancouver, or Montreal. And I thank you for that. I thank you for sharing that history with us, for showing us the way forward by telling us how far we've come and what we're all about. And I think that is the significance of today, is that our community is grounded in that connection of story, music, linked not only by geography but by a shared history, our culture and our commitment to one another, the sense of community that shines brightly through the achievements of today's recipients, each of whom has strengthened the ties that bind us, as I said, as islanders. We understand as islanders the importance of preserving our heritage while always looking toward the future. And this commitment is beautifully reflected in all of you today and all of your work, the bridge of the past to the future, and just the love and connection we feel to this place we call home. For me, prior to taking office, some of you might know that I was known to tell a story or two as well. Many times in the legislature, some of my opposition, they bring it up from time to time. But in my world, and in the world of my dad and Ed's dad and Reg's dad and everyone else's dad and granddad, when food was scarce and money was scarce, and with your brain and you're wanting to have this knowledge and connection, this desire for knowledge and connection, the telling of story was our currency. And the three recipients today, I would say, have their pockets filled with story and song and that currency that is so important to each and every one of us. And the history that we carry with us and we bring forward is something that just oozes out of each and every one of you. And so in recognizing the contributions of you three remarkable Islanders, we're reminded of the strength, the resilience, and the unity that defines us as Islanders, and the importance of celebrating the uniqueness of our people, of our province, of our history, and that we continue to share that, we continue to celebrate that, we continue to promote that, and we continue to have that bring us together to make us the best we can be. To the committee, who I think Premier is hard, but trying to pick 3 people every year to be the Order of PEI has to be one of the hardest, toughest jobs, not without its critics by times. But I would say you hit a grand slam home run today with these 3. So to the Order of PEI recipients, to Kathryn, to Ed, to Dutch, you've made a lasting impression on our island and so many people who are proud to call it home. Your efforts have made us stronger, you've made us more vibrant, you've kept us connected, and you make us special. And on behalf of all Islanders, I want to say from my heart, thank you for doing that. Don't ever stop doing that. Continue to be who you are. Tell our stories, share our music, share our traditions and our cultures. And as we do that, we're all better for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier. Well, the moment we've been waiting for. We will now invest this year's recipients of the Medal of Merit in the Order of Prince Edward Island. I would like to invite Tim Chasson to the podium to introduce us to the first inductee, Kathryn Dau-Schmidt.
Hey, everybody. For over 40 years, I know I'm not going to make you feel any younger today, Kathryn. Kathryn Dau-Schmidt has been helping Islanders of all ages to learn how to play the fiddle. Since 1980, the Rolla Bay Fiddle Festival has sponsored free fiddle lessons for anyone interested. Kathryn was the first, and 44 years later, she remains the only instructor. Every Monday night from October through May, Kathryn has taught fiddle to well over 1,000 people. And as a full-time touring singer-songwriter and fiddle player with the East Pointers, I definitely owe much of my core skills to the consistency Kathryn has shown to her Monday night fiddle lessons in Rolla Bay. And now, as a parent myself, it's particularly special to see Kathryn's passing on her knowledge to the next generation. I'm back at Monday night lessons with my 6-year-old son now, and I love the feeling, that sense of musical community in Rolla Bay every Monday night, which wouldn't be possible without Kathryn's dedication. And as a sidebar, I think she deserves this award solely for putting up with me and all my other cousins. Could you imagine, if anyone knows JJ Chasen, you imagine teaching him as a kid? Her commitment not only to teaching the technical aspects of the fiddle, but also instilling a love and appreciation for traditional music has left a lasting mark on countless students over the years. She's done all of this while being a mother, grandmother, and a lab coordinator and teacher at UPEI. Pretty impressive, I'd say, so please welcome Kathryn Dau-Schmidt.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for that introduction, Tim, and congratulations, Kathryn. Well deserved. It's now my pleasure to invite Sharon Myers to the podium to introduce our next inductee, Dr. Ed MacDonald.
Your Honor, Premier, distinguished guests. May Professor Emeritus in May, Dr. G. Edward MacDonald, a son of the island, is a member of the Order of Canada and recipient of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, Heritage Canada's Lieutenant Governor's Award, the Canadian Museum Association's Outstanding Achievement Award, the UPEI Distinguished Alumni of the Year Award, and from the PEI Museum and Heritage Foundation, the Boyd Beck Memorial Award, multiple Foundation Heritage Awards and Publication of the Year Awards, and the Foundation's Award of Honor for Lifetime Achievement. Added to these are a City of Charlottetown Heritage Award and the Canadian Catholic Historical Association's Clerk Award for outstanding service to the history of Catholicism in Canada, and Publication of the Year Award. He has twice won UPEI's Hessian Merit Award for teaching and twice been named the Student Union Faculty Member of the Year. And from UPEI's Department of History, and anyone who has dined with Ed, he has been named the Supreme Judge of the Sticky Date Pudding and Keeper of the Scalding Hot Teapot. Ed has authored, edited, or co-edited 8 books dealing with the history of Prince Edward Island and its place in the region. He has published some 50 articles in various academic and popular history venues, created museum catalogs, led curatorial and exhibit work, and delivered more than 25 invited scholarly lectures. He has served on more than 35 community boards and committees, including on advisory committees for Park Canada's reinterpretation of historic sites, such as Province House, Skamaugan, Port LaJoy, Fort Amherst. He is profoundly generous when asked to share his knowledge with the broader island community, as reflected in the nearly 70 public lectures he has given in the last dozen years alone. These generous gifts of time and knowledge reflect his deep personal dedication to share island history with island communities. And as a consequence, he has bridged the so-called town-gown divide, drawing the community to its university and taking UPEI into the community as the cultural, scholarly, and institutional ambassador that he is. He has shown islanders who we are, reminded us of our accomplishments and quirks, and enriched our culture in doing so. There has been much very well-deserved celebration of Ed's scholarly contributions over the last year. I want to note his significant contributions also as an educator. As a teacher for over 24 years in the Faculty of Arts, it's fair to say that Ed has educated a generation of students. As a colleague, I've had the great privilege to learn much about teaching from Ed, and am constantly reminded through our conversations about the necessity of centering our students' humanity and dignity, and the ethics of care we're invited to employ. Having spent 2 decades literally across the hall from Ed, both of us with open doors, I can attest to the constant and lively stream of students and community members who visit Dr. Ed, who value him as a teacher, guide, mentor, and champion. As one student wrote, students leave with improved confidence because they know Dr. MacDonald believes in them. To a student, there is no greater gift and no more generous giver. Ed's kindness, integrity, and gracious friendship, and his playful and pun-filled sense of humor that recognizes the absurd and the ironic, his genuine dedication to understanding this island and helping all of us to understand it. In turn, for these things, we thank you, Ed. And thank you for reminding us that if we are strong-hearted, there is nothing this island and its residents can't accomplish, including that of one of 9 children raised in Newport, schooled in a one-room schoolhouse, who is today honored by this island for his phenomenal accomplishments.
Thank you, Sharon. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome inductee Dr. Ed MacDonald forward as a worthy recipient of the Order of Prince Edward Island for 2024. Congratulations, Dr. Ed. It's now time to invite Matt Rainey to the podium to introduce inductee Reginald Dutch Thompson.
Her Honor, Lieutenant Governor, Premier Dennis King, distinguished guests, and honorees. There's the famous quote, "Those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." And I mean, there is such power and truth in that, that if we fail to acknowledge the grievous mistakes of the past, we will end up walking down that same dark road. But at the risk of it sounding like the host of the CBC afternoon radio show on PEI is disagreeing with Winston Churchill, I can't help but think that expression is incomplete, that it lacks nuance, because there's another lens through which we can look to the past, to the bygone days, and more lessons we can learn. Lessons on resilience, on facing great adversity, yet persevering and finding ways to devote energy to family and to community. Lessons on self-reliance and the value of a hard day's work on the land and the sea, in the classroom, or around the wood stove to feed a hungry family. Doing the work that needed to be done, but doing so with grace and love and humor. This is the lens through which our friend Reg Dutch Thompson has been shining his light for more than 3 decades. Dutch has been a familiar, beloved voice on CBC Radio through that time with his Bygone Days column, sharing oral history stories from amidst the hundreds and hundreds of hours of interviews he's collected through those years. It was my predecessor, Cheryl McKay, who recognized Dutch's unique gift and introduced him to the airwaves. I was fortunate to inherit Dutch when I came on the program. Fortunate not just to have a great work colleague whose stories really do matter to listeners, but also fortunate to have found a great friend. A great friend. And at the risk of completely embarrassing Dutch, or the joy of completely embarrassing Dutch, well, the stories he's brought to us have often provided a roadmap on how to live a life. Dutch Thompson himself has demonstrated that to me. Now, it's not just the fact that he doesn't seem to age, which, frankly, it's frustrating, Dutch. He's the Benjamin Button of PEI broadcasting, but I admire the fact that Dutch is ravenously curious. His mind is a library of stories and names and artifacts and photographs. When Dutch tells me that he's going on a trip overseas, I know it's not like to sit on a beach or find the coolest new restaurant. It's because he wants to go hiking in the English backwoods to study rocks and aqueducts, which, is not everyone's TripAdvisor booking, but that's what makes Dutch who he is. Now, I know him pretty well, and I can almost sense Dutch squirming in his chair right now, because he's never done this work for attention or recognition, for the focus to be on him. And I can hear him saying that right now. It's not about me. It's about Maisie Adams, one of the first female lighthouse keepers in Canada. It's about Roy Clow's stories of rum running and home remedies, Muriel McKay's memories of the Spanish flu and the Halifax explosion, Robbie Robertson's adventures at sea, Herb Skierman's precocious childhood in Summerside, veteran Blanche Landry Bennett, Dr. Helen Herring's groundbreaking work in broadcasting, Dr. Bud Ing's traveling the muddy roads as a country vet, and the all-familiar grunt, yeah, from Clayton Ballum, yeah, which has become kind of a shorthand for Dutch and me. How you doing, Dutch? Good? Yeah. I mean, there are many, many, many more names. And Dutch is right. These are remarkable storytellers who lived full lives and had vivid reflections on their past, the good times and the tough ones, and they do deserve to be celebrated. But I wouldn't know these people. I wouldn't have learned from their stories if it wasn't for Dutch, because it's Dutch who found these people, who sat with them over tea for hours, who listened with empathy and, yes, that innate curiosity, and saw the value in bringing those stories to us, not only on CBC Radio, but through best-selling Bygone Days books and through his partnership with the UPEI Robertson Library to preserve many of these stories through the Island Voices website. I also know Dutch would want to acknowledge the support and guidance of his wife, Jill, or as he describes her in his book, his red-headed firecracker wife. Those are Dutch's words, Jill, those aren't mine. I'd also like to acknowledge the very hard work of the late David McCollum in making this nomination happen. So let me sincerely thank the Order of Prince Edward Island for recognizing my friend, Prince Edward Island's friend, Dutch Thompson, here today. And Dutch, thank you for collecting these voices, voices that will echo for generations because of you. Congratulations, Dutch.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome inductee Reginald Dutch Thompson forward as a worthy recipient of the Order of Prince Edward Island for 2024. Congratulations, Dutch, and thank you, Matt, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Order of Prince Edward Island Advisory Council, I present the 2024 recipients of the Medal of Merit and extend our heartfelt congratulations to Kathryn, Dr. Ed, and to Dutch on their investment. Please give them all a round of applause. What a great day. Following the ceremony, recipients will have an opportunity to take family photos in front of the grand staircase. And to everyone here today, please, I want to thank you all for being here. We encourage you afterwards, though, to please join us for the Premier's reception here in the dining room. I'd also like to offer special thanks to those assisting with today's ceremony. On the piano, we have Jacqueline Sorensen, Elder Judith Clark, her honors and valuable staff, and of course the broadcast team. This concludes the official ceremony. I would like to ask everyone who is able to please rise for the playing of God Save the King and remain standing for the departure of Her Honor and distinguished guests. Thank you again for attending, and please join Her Honor and the Premier in the dining room for a reception, and again, more beautiful music out here in the foyer. Thank you. Merci. Wilalilak.